Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to Copper Jacket TV. So we've got some pretty big news today. This is what we have been waiting for. This is what I have been pushing for on this channel since I started it nearly 12 years ago. This is something that will have an effect on the entire country. It looks like the Supreme Court may actually take up a so-called assault weapons ban and mag ban case. This would wipe out all of the bans in California, in New York, in Illinois. I mean, you name it. This would have a massive sweeping effect across this entire country. So let's talk about what's going on. This video is proud to be sponsored by American Hartford Gold. Listen, if there is one thing that those of us in the firearms community understand, it's that you cannot rely on the government for your protection. Not with your life, and especially not with your wealth. Look, throughout our lifetime, the dominance of the US dollar was unquestioned, but that may be changing. As we face unprecedented inflation, the world's biggest economies are ditching the dollar for the yen. Banks are failing left and right, and the government is discussing a total control of all of your money with the new digital dollar. Don't let your life savings become a casualty of failing corporations or currency wars. Now is the time to call the only precious metal dealer that I trust, American Hartford Gold. They'll show you how to protect your savings and retirement accounts by diversifying your wealth portfolio with physical gold and silver. With the finest products, amazing customer service, and a buyback commitment. American Hartford Gold has a 5-star rating from thousands of reviews and an A+ from the Better Business Bureau. American Hartford Gold supports content like this that is committed to bringing you the truth. Tell them I sent you and they'll give you up to $5,000 of free silver on your first order, so call them now. Click the link in the description or call 866-856-2507. That's 866-856-2507 or text COPPER to 65532. Again, that's 866-856-2507 or text COPPER to 65532. Okay, so let's go and talk about what's going on here, and I'll try and keep this short and simple because I know that your time is valuable to you. But I'm sure you guys remember just recently the Supreme Court decided to take up a case by the FPC which challenged the final rule on unfinished frames or receivers and essentially changed the definition of what a firearm is. Now, that's great, that's fantastic. We need this to happen and we need a win in that case. However, I think a lot of us were really hoping that the first thing that we heard would be that the Supreme Court has taken up a case that challenged a ban, one of these state bans, on so-called assault weapons and magazines. That's what I was waiting for and I was really hoping would come out first, but that didn't happen. So it left a lot of people wondering whether or not the Supreme Court was going to even consider one of these cases. Well, now we finally know the answer to that because the Supreme Court has officially added to its calendar for May 16th consideration of multiple so-called assault weapons and magazine bans. So what does this all mean? Well, it means that we've officially hit the second step in this process, which is huge. So the first step is obviously asking the Supreme Court for review, presenting them with the cases, and presenting them with the questions that we want answered. Now, if they wanted to, technically, they could just let these cases fall to the wayside. But they didn't. They decided to take it up to step 2, which is distributing it for conference on the 16th. That means that the Supreme Court is actually going to take a look at these cases, take a look at the questions that were presented, and decide whether or not they're actually going to take them up. It's actually kind of a big hurdle to get to that second step, to even be distributed for conference. So that is big. Now, I myself am very optimistic. Now, I'm very optimistic because other groups that are, entrenched in this, that are more well-versed in exactly what's going on here, like the attorneys and the foundations and the activists, the people who actually brought this up to the Supreme Court, they're optimistic that the Supreme Court might take one or even all of the cases that have been presented in front of it because of what's going on in the lower courts right now post-Bruen. So again, we have cases from Maryland and Illinois being considered by the Supreme Court, and if they only took up one of them, it would be absolutely game-changing for this entire country because I believe that we would get a win out of this just based on the opinions in Heller and in Bruen. Now, obviously, we would like it if they took up every case, right? Just to kind of broaden the exposure, answer more questions, and really kind of, lay down the law, so to speak, for the lower courts, moving forward. But essentially, that would be it. It would end all of the bans across the country in states like California and, other states that are passing them like Washington. I mean, you name it. That would be game-changing for this entire country. It would basically shut everybody up. So that would be a very big deal. So I'm really I'm hyped now. I'm waiting on May 16th like it's freaking Christmas to see exactly what happens. Now, obviously, there's still the potential that they decide that they're not going to take up any one of these cases, and that's something that we have to realize that, because of what's happening in Illinois and, the lower courts and, stuff like that, we may not see them take up any of these cases. It's possible we could get a vacate and remand back down to the 7th Circuit, but who knows? I mean, there's several different options that we could see happen, or several different outcomes that we could see happen here. But I'm very optimistic that they take at least one of these. But we'll see May 16th. Obviously, there's 9 judges. They're going to be taking a look at this. We need 4 of the judges on our side here, and I'm hopeful that we can get those 4. So we'll see what happens. But again, May 16th, extremely important date. You guys should mark that on your calendar, and we'll see what happens after that. But again, great news that we have moved up to the next step in this process of overturning these bans nationwide, and I wanted to let you know about that. So I want to thank you all very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Please like, subscribe, and you guys have a great day.